You wake before sunrise and reach into the ash. One red point is still alive. You block the wind, add dry grass, then wood. Nothing catches. The ember shrinks. If it dies, you do not just lose a fire. You lose the center of your entire world. Heat, light, cooked food, protection. No match, no lighter, no button marked try again. This is your fire. If you fail, does your whole camp go dark with it? For a group that could not reliably make a new flame, this was a chain reaction. Cold moves in. Work stops. Animals come closer. For a child in that camp, darkness was not the absence of light. It was the moment the world became unknown again. The first human breakthrough was not making fire, it was learning how not to lose it. But that was not the fire that changed everything. The most important fire was the one nobody could see, and it could disappear whenever the person carrying it died. Watch what disappears as the red point dies. Warm air gives way to cold. The bright circle collapses into darkness. Food that was easier to eat after heating may have to be eaten raw, changed, or saved. Work that needs light or heat stops. Smoke and flame no longer help keep some animals away. People who had been visible become shapes beyond the ash. A hearth is not one tool. It is warmth, light, food, safety, the place where people sit together. When the ember fades, all of those things fade with it. Oh, the obvious answer is, make another fire. But using fire is not the same as creating it. You can take a burning branch from a wildfire, carry it home, and feed it without knowing how to produce one spark. Finding fire was one skill. Keeping it alive was another. Making it again was something completely different. Humans could live with fire before they could reliably replace it. That skill was not abstract. It looked like a coal protected inside a bundle. It looked like eyes searching the horizon for smoke. It looked like taking flame from a natural fire or obtaining an ember from another camp. Different groups had different options, but the goal was the same. Not forever, just until morning. But every solution created another way to fail. Seal the ember too tightly against the wind, and it suffocates. Give it more air, and one gust can scatter it. Add too little fuel, and it cools. Add too much, and it burns through the journey. Then rain begins. Then the group has to sleep. Then, red starts turning gray while no one is looking. Saving the fire from one danger only exposed it to the next. This is where a dying ember stops being a story about one careful person. Someone brings the wood. Someone protects the tinder. Someone watches the flame. Someone remembers what to do when red turns gray. Humans did not need an immortal flame. They needed a group that could keep one small ember alive until morning. For hundreds of thousands of years, humans lived with a strange weakness. They had fire, but fire did not belong to them. Then, about 400,000 years ago, something changed. At Barnham in what is now England, researchers found intensely heated ground and stone handaxes cracked by fire. Beside them were two pieces of iron pyrite, a mineral that throws sparks when struck with flint. That pyrite was unusual for the area. Someone had carried it there. They were no longer trying only to save a flame. They were preparing to create one. This was not the first inventor, and not every group had this power. But a camp that could make fire no longer had to protect yesterday's flame or wait for nature to provide the next one. Humans did not make flame immortal. They made it repeatable. The crucial invention was not fire, it was another fire. Later clues suggest this was not a one-time trick. Some Neanderthal tools appear to have struck pyrite. In another cave, burning rose with human activity rather than wildfire outside. You do not need to remember every site. Remember the shift. Some people no longer had to wait for nature to hand them the next flame. Fire was becoming a repeatable human ability. But if making fire changed so much, why are the tools so hard to find? Pyrite breaks down in the ground. Tinder and wood rot. One flint tool can cut meat one day and strike a spark the next. The fire survived in the ground. But the tools and hands that created it were gone. The thing that lasted was not the tool, it was the knowledge behind it. Which stone throws the right spark? Which material catches it? Which wood stays dry after rain? Where should the fire sit so smoke and wind do not kill it? A stone can crumble, a wooden tool can rot, but someone can watch the steps, remember them, and pass them on. Picture one night. An older person falls asleep beside the hearth. The ember dims. Red starts turning black. A child sees it and wakes the others. Hands move fast. Dry grass. Shelter from the wind. One careful breath. The ember glows again. The camp breathes again. The child is not learning where fire is. The child is learning what to do when fire almost disappears. One person can lose a coal. One generation can lose a tool. But another pair of hands can remember the steps. Once fire became dependable, it began changing more than survival. Around a fire, humans did something new. They did not only survive together, they remembered together. Studies of Zhuangzi hunter-gatherers show that fire-like conversations often carry more stories, memories, relationships, and shared knowledge than practical daytime talk. That is not a recording of a Pleistocene camp. But it shows what dependable light can create. More time, a circle of listeners, and a place where knowledge lives in people. The hearth became humanity's first classroom. Fire was no longer only something the group protected. It became a place where the group could protect what it knew. Now return to your hand above the ash. The last red point has gone black. What happens next still depends on the group. People might preserve another coal, find natural fire, approach another camp, or build a new flame with tools and tinder. They might also endure a cold, dark stretch without one. Losing fire exposed the difference between having a flame and knowing how to bring flame back. One flame is fragile. A method that can be protected, recreated, and taught is much harder to extinguish. Today, you touch a switch and feel as if light belongs to you. It does not. A power station, a grid, repair crews, stored knowledge, and thousands of coordinated decisions stand behind the movement of one finger. Ancient fire was smaller, but the deeper pattern was already there. Civilization was never built only around things humans possessed. It was built around abilities humans could pass on. The ember was never the thing that saved us. What saved us was someone knowing what to do when it disappeared, and someone else learning how to do it again. The last ember could die. The fire nobody could see could move into another pair of hands. Humans were never the species that kept the first flame alive. Not the strongest, not the fastest. We were the species that learned how to pass it on.